Hey, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about a question I get all the time. I get asked all the time, how much should I sell my land for? In this video, I'm going to talk to you about that and why you should know what your land's worth to know how much to sell it for. All right, I'm gonna break down several ways to figure out what your land is worth so at the end, you know what in the world to sell it for. And stick around to the end, I'm gonna give you the easy button on figuring out what in the world is the land worth so you know what to sell it for. All right, so a couple years ago, I was selling a parcel of land in a place called Okeechobee, Florida. I didn't know what land values had done. I was in Colorado when this was happening. So I called the local appraiser and I said, hey, I've got 14 acres. There's a barn on it. There's really nothing going on out there. What would that land be worth? And he told me the exact price per acre of land going all over the county. So by knowing what land was going for, and I'm just going to use a super round number for this, but on average, he said about $1,000 per acre. So I did the $1,000 per acre and I knew I had 14 acres. So 1,000 times 14, that gave me $14,000 of sales price of what it was actually worth. Now, it was actually way more than that, but I'm just using super round numbers. But let's just say it's $10,000 per acre is what it's selling for, which is actually more like 18,000 per acre. But I like round numbers. So let's just say it was a 10,000. 10,000 times 14 acres tells me that I've got a $140,000 piece of land. That's how I can price my land on how much I should sell it for. So you never want to sell something for, say, 5,000 an acre if it's worth 10,000 an acre. You're like giving it away at 50 cents on the dollar. So that's the step number one, is figuring out what it's worth. And the first person I would call would be the local appraiser. Next step is a realtor. Like, who else better to call than a real estate professional, someone that's got a real estate license, someone that's got access to the multiple listing service. Just like that appraiser, they can look at all these things that have sold within the last 6 months. I generally try and be within a few miles of my actual parcel of land that I'm looking to sell, as well as within 6 months. You know, a lot can happen in 6 months. Things can change in 6 months. I'm selling my parcel of land in December. I don't want to look past, say, June. And at the most would be about May. But let's just say that nothing sold in the last 6 months. There's not a lot of volume happening. Sometimes you have to go a full entire year, and sometimes you might have to be outside of that few mile radius as far as looking at comparable properties. All a comparable property is like comparing apples to apples, not an apple to an orange. Like, here's an example of apples to apples. So I talked to you about the 14 acres with a barn. Well, an apple comparison to that would be within about a few miles, within the last 6 months on the sales, but another 14 acre parcel, or, you know, anywhere from like 12 to 16 acres within a, you know, couple acres difference with a barn. You know, I'm not looking at 37 acre parcels to try and compare my 14 acre parcel. I want to be within about a 5 acres amount. Hopefully it's got a barn. And if mine has a well, I want to look at properties with wells. And if it doesn't have a well, I need to, you know, subtract that. So it's all about keeping apples to apple comparisons. All right, so let's go back to the real estate agent. You know, what type of real estate agent or realtor do I want to talk to about figuring out how much to sell my land for? You know, maybe they could sell it, but I don't want to go to a real estate agent that doesn't deal in land. You know, I want to talk to the agent that does deal in land. And I'm going to tell you two ways to do it. One, call a real estate office close by your land and say, hey, who's your land real estate expert? Who's your land expert in your office? You know, and if they don't have one, ask if they could refer us to one or refer you to one. You know, do you know a land expert in the area? And usually they'll get you to the right place, or maybe you'll have to call a second real estate office. The second way to do it is by going to landwatch.com, landwatch.com, and putting in your county in LandWatch. Let's say, for instance, it's Apache County, Arizona, and you can just scroll down to the land listings, and you can also see what land's going for in Apache if that's where you're selling it, and you can kind of compare that way too. Maybe this stuff's selling for $6,000 an acre and you thought it was only worth $5,000. But if you scroll down long enough, you're going to find a land specialist in that area. You can call that person, but I want you to call the land specialist that's a licensed real estate agent, because they're going to give you a good idea of what the land is worth. And here's what I like to do. Like, if I'm not planning on listing my land with that agent, I just say, hey, what would the 30-day blowout price be? I'm not sure if I'm going to list it yet or not. And I'm just very upfront with them. You know, I don't want them thinking they're going to get the listing by just just telling me what the land's going for. I want to give you an asset that my team uses all the time to figure out what land is worth so we know how to price it on the buy side, like what we should pay for it, and then when we're ready to sell it, like what can we sell it for? Like what do we price our land for? So I'm gonna give you this easy button, but before I do, go ahead and smash that subscribe button and also like this video. Go ahead and like and subscribe to this video. I'm coming out with more content every single day. We put it out to you 5 days a week, and I'm always talking about how to buy land, how to price land, how to sell land. So I wanna keep providing you value. All right, to the easy button. As promised, my team uses this. I'm gonna give you a link that's gonna give you a 7-day free trial. And if you're actually thinking about buying land, they actually give you your first 400 records free, where you actually get an Excel spreadsheet and you can start mailing landowners and buying land super cheap. You want to know what the land's worth before you actually try and sell the land, because you want to get the most amount possible. And that's priced.com/the land sharks. That link is below in the description. This is the easiest way to figure out what land is going for in the area. Yes, I mean, I highly recommend calling the realtors, highly recommend checking out Zillow and the appraiser, looking at LandWatch and Zillow, but this is the easiest method, and that's price.com/the land sharks. And you can find the link below. If it's like free for 7 days, like why not try it out? So let me tell you why I call it my easy button for figuring out what the land's worth and how much you should price your land for. Is because it allows you to pick a county or a city, and it allows you to filter it even more too. Like say for instance, you're only interested in you have a 2-acre parcel of land in Fort Pierce, Florida. It allows you to filter, this land from anywhere from 1 to 5 acres in Fort Pierce, Florida, and it aggregates all the data. It looks at the stuff that's selling on the MLS, selling on Zillow and LandWatch and Land and Farm, all the land websites, and it's also looking at the county assessor site. So it's taking in everything. It's basically giving you access to what your local appraiser is looking at, and it's at the click of a button, and you can do this in less than 5 minutes. That's why I call it my easy button. My team loves it. We now use it daily, and the link is below in the descriptions, and I hope this video served you well.